Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. My name is Minister Assistant David Hopper with the Las Vegas Buddhist Sangha. I'm presenting another brief Dharma talk, this one geared for the younger audiences, though I think everyone will find something useful in it. It's entitled How to Be Grateful for the COVID-19 pandemic, how to use the Buddha Dharma to deal with this coronavirus problem that we're all experiencing right now. I think if most of you can get through 5 minutes of my talking, you probably have a strong immune system and will do fine through the pandemic. But I hope you enjoy this, and I will be on the sideline as the slideshow begins to narrate. Thank you. Please enjoy. Hopefully this is visible enough when it gets played back on your video screen. But this picture down here, which looks pretty cool, like it's something from Star Wars, is a picture of the coronavirus, colorized and sharpened somewhat so you can see what it looks like. Now, knowing how to deal with the coronavirus, you have to know a little bit about what you're dealing with. First thing is the picture here on the left. I don't know if you can see this area here. That's an old electron microscope picture from the 60s. This virus was discovered in 1964 by a woman named June Almeida, and she named them coronavirus because of the similarities that they had. They looked like they had a corona around them like the sun. This picture here of the sun kind of shows you a little bit how they look alike. Of course, this is a much more modern picture of the sun compared to an over 50-year-old picture of the coronavirus. But anyway, there are several types of coronaviruses. This one here is a new one that we call COVID-19 because it was discovered in 2019, this particular strain of coronavirus. Kind of the first step is eliminating ignorance, which is one of the three poisons we learn in the Buddha Dharma. Why is this virus causing so much trouble? Is a commonly asked question. Why is this one so different from all the others we've had? This one is brand new, so we don't really have any immunity developed to it in the population or anything really close to it. So it spreads fast and very easy from person to person through sneezing, coughing, touching your mouth, touching your nose or eyes, and even breathing and talking. If a person has been exposed to it and has the virus, even though they may not have symptoms, it can still spread as you're talking. So it's very easy to spread, especially when everybody's in close contact. So places like hospitals, nursing homes, beaches during spring break and so forth, where there's a lot of people, casinos, a lot of crowded places full of people. They can't get very far apart, so it's easy to spread. How do we protect ourselves? You've probably heard this on TV many times. Do the following things. 1, wash your hands with warm, soapy water frequently. Use hand sanitizer. That is usually made with aloe vera gel and either 70 or 99% isopropyl alcohol, so you can make your own. Stay 6 feet away from other people. Originally they said 3 feet because that's about the maximum distance it's going to travel from your mouth to the next person, but to be sure, it's always better to keep a little more distance, and 6 feet became an excellent rule of thumb. Wear masks and gloves in public. And even though they were against the cloth ones, they're now okay with that, because even if you get 50%, only 50% penetration from the virus, that's 50% still. So it's better to have something than nothing. The fifth one here, stay home unless you have to do essential activities. So if you have to go to the doctor for an essential procedure, if you have to get gas in the car in order to run certain things, if you have groceries that you need to have, these are all essential activities, so you can leave home that way, just remembering to wash your hands before you go back home, back in your car. Use hand sanitizer and maintain your distance, wearing a mask and glove, and you should be pretty safe. Now that we know a couple basics about the virus, we can work on eliminating our discomfort that we're experiencing from the pandemic. People are becoming more depressed, more anxious, a lot more cabin fever, which is why people are starting to break the rules because they're tired of it. But the important thing is what you do while you're in stay-home mode. You have to have something to do, constructive, positive, and dealing with this whole pandemic and coming out of it a better person is much better than sitting around worrying about everything. So some of these things you'll recognize from the Four Noble Truths, from the Eightfold Path, and so forth, as far as the Dharma goes. First one, impermanence. You got to remember, everything is impermanent, including the pandemic. Nothing lasts forever. And that's a common statement that I make to a lot of my patients, is when they say, how long is this going to last? These are all spiritual questions that people ask, trying to find how all this fits together and make sense of it, and what is their purpose, and what is the purpose of this pandemic, and all of that. And I usually comment, I said, nothing lasts forever. And they find that quite comforting, because they don't think of it like that. Their panic is not knowing and just wondering if it's going to last forever. But nothing is forever. It's already beginning to flatten out. And so we're beginning to realize it's going away. And because everybody is so antsy, they're trying to jump the gun a little bit, because it's not gone away enough to where it can't flare back up if people forget these rules of staying safe. The second one, interdependence. Everything we do affects others. If you don't wear a mask or gloves and you have been exposed to the virus, you can pass it on to somebody else, and that somebody could be a person who has a medical condition, elderly or whatever, where they have a weakened immune system, and you put their lives in jeopardy just because you're only thinking about yourself. And I don't like wearing that mask, so I'm not wearing one, and so forth. You're not thinking of other people. We're dependent on many, many people, and now that we're stuck in the house and we don't see too many people, we kind of forget that. And we forget how many people it took to get that roll of toilet paper to the grocery store, to get that produce, so we can remain healthy, eating healthy foods. So we have to be willing to work together with everybody, even people we don't know and we don't see them, but we know they're out there. And we have to be mindful of how our actions affect other people. Everything you do, good or bad, is going to affect some other person. Maybe somebody you don't even know. Especially if you go to the grocery store and you figure, well, I'm positive for coronavirus, but I don't have any symptoms, and you don't wear masks or gloves or anything, there's a lot of people there that are going to end up sick, possibly because of your actions. Third thing, looking at the three poisons that we learn in the Buddha Dharma, we apply the Eightfold Path. I've talked about the Eightfold Path in a little more detail in others, so I'm not going to go into all the details about that right now. But ignorance is one of them. The less you know about a problem, the more stress and anxiety you're going to suffer. So you hear people say, well, ignorance is bliss. What you know can't hurt you. That's wrong. You just don't know what's causing your suffering, and you don't know why you're suffering, and that's not a good place. Fear is caused by the unknown. So knowledge is a way of overcoming that. The more wisdom we have about something, the more empowered we are, and the less ignorant we are of it, and the less problems we have, the less suffering we have, because we can act on it. Anger, frustration and anger are caused when your expectations are not met. So when you say, I want to go outside, or I want to go with my friends, and your parents say, no, it's not good to go outside right now. Even if you've got a mask, you don't need to go out. Well, we get angry because we expect to be able to go out and have some fun, and we're not allowed to. And again, some of the anger and frustration comes from ignorance, not really understanding why it is that this no has been imposed on us going out with our friends and having fun during this pandemic. Once we realize that, you're much less upset. Greed. When we become self-centered and all we think about is me, 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 I want this, I want that, I deserve this, I deserve that. We become very greedy, and we act like nobody else matters, nobody else is that important, only us, and we're only concerned about our wants and our needs and nobody else. So we get a little greedy, and that's going to lead to a lot of suffering and a lot of problems, because nobody else is going to see things the way you do, because they're involved and they are being excluded. Number 4, mindfulness. That is one of the Eightfold Path. Be aware of all parts of your life. Work to be accepting and eliminate judgment. It's hard for us to accept something as is, that a person has a right to their beliefs, a person has a right to feel the way they feel, and so forth, and not be judged about it. Once you understand more why they feel the way they do, you become less judgmental and more accepting. Avoid attaching yourself to any thought or behaviors that cause discomfort. Now, when we have discomfort, we have to look at, what are we thinking? What are we doing in our behavior that may be leading to this conclusion or this problem that we're experiencing, whether it's a feeling, thoughts, or beliefs, or what. So we have to be aware of all of this. Number 5, meditation. Use various meditation techniques to help you achieve mindfulness. It will help you find answers and solutions. Now, meditation itself is not the end-all answer to everything, but it's one of the Eightfold Path, and it will help you. How many times have you thought about something and you couldn't remember the name of something, the name of a movie, an actor, or a food, or anything? And the harder you try, the worse it gets. And then you just say, oh, forget it. You walk away and you just let it all go, and all of a sudden it pops back in your head. So this is an example of how this meditation works and helps you. I mean, it's good for your health, physically and mentally, but it helps you find answers and solutions by somewhat putting your mind into neutral. a kind of a neutral awareness. You're aware, but you're not focusing hard on anything. And you just let the answers come to you. There will be more talk on meditation techniques shortly. Number 6, compassion. Act with kindness, caring, and consideration. Make sure you want to help others and that they find pleasure and happiness in your actions. Don't just do them for you. Now there's greed coming in. What am I going to get out of this? What kind of reward am I going to get? No, it's help them because they need help. You want to help them. And look for their pleasure and happiness from your actions. Some of the best things that you do or gifts that you give people, it's their reactions that make you feel good more than the words, just simple thank you. We're not sure how good that present was we gave them or whatever, but when we see the excitement, the happiness that gift gave them, whatever it is, then we know, and we feel good. We feel good about doing it. So this is what compassion is about. So when you're acting towards people, you're going to feel good. And feeling good is a lot better than being stir crazy and having cabin fever with the pandemic. Reflection. Take time to reflect on any disappointment and how you used Buddha's teachings to better your life. So anything that you become disappointed with, how can you use these teachings to eliminate it, to minimize it, and feel better about yourself and your life? Think about how everything you do is affecting family, friends, and even strangers. For example, washing your hands, wearing your mask, and so forth may actually be saving lives. People you don't even know, because you encounter them, but you washed your hands, you're wearing gloves, you're wearing masks, you're keeping 6 feet away from them, and so forth. So your actions could even be saving lives. You're certainly reducing the risk of harming people. So there's people that don't know you exist, that you may have passed in a grocery store or somewhere else, and your actions saved their life, and they may not even noticed you. So reflect on what you're doing. Reflect on your disappointments and ways in which the Buddha Dharma might be able to help you better. The middle road. We hear a lot in the Buddha Dharma about the middle road. Basically, avoid extremes. You have to remember that nothing is 100% bad in this world or 100% good. We don't suffer nonstop 24 hours a day, and the world is just not total bliss 24 hours a day either. We have ups and downs, and that's what life is about. But when you're able to look at a situation and see both the good and the bad, for example, with this pandemic, there are good things that are coming from it that are going to better mankind, especially if we put a lot of them into practice. And there are things that are horrible about it. All the deaths, all the suffering and sickness. We don't like that. That's not good. But out of the pandemic, we have learned so many things from it. Not just about viruses, but about how to treat our environment, where some of the causes are coming from, how we can change our lifestyle to eliminate or reduce this problem in the future, to make us healthier, smarter. So try to be aware of both sides. If you're driving down the road in a car and all you do is focus on the potholes and bumps and stuff in the road, you're going to have a miserable trip the whole time. Your journey is just negative. But if you drive down the road and all you focus on are the flowers and the grass and everything that you see driving, chances are you're going to crash into somebody. You're going to hit the potholes and blow your tires because you're not aware of it. So by taking this middle road, you're able to recognize where the hazards are and where all the beautiful things are. And you can take control of the situation, and you can have the most enjoyable possible drive in your car. When you're problem focused, you become powerless. Empowerment lies in solutions. So become a solution-oriented person. Okay, to have solutions, there's a problem, but for every problem, there is a solution. Number 9, the 3 treasures. Take refuge in the 3 treasures: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. That's important. Buddha taught that. It's very important to take refuge in the Buddha and his teachings and the Sangha, which is a family. It's an extended family from your family at home. Number 10, remember Namo Amida Butsu. Say that as often as you need it. There's no set number that's correct. That's not what's important. It's for you to have gratitude, to have respect, to entrust in Amida Buddha. It's more than just words. You need to feel it, need to experience it, and say it however often you need to remind yourself and help bring that feeling back, that experience back, that you know that you're taking refuge and you totally trust and have faith in Amida Buddha, Amida Butsu. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable and there was some useful information in it. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Take our time, embrace every light that shines. Let it show us the way to clear water.